Good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Gustavo Gordillo, Outreach Coordinator at the Business Recovery Center and Impact Beaverton. Today we are the honor to host our presenter, Kathy Bazan. She's a BRC consulting from the BRC. We have a great topic today, the social media. So welcome, Kathy. And the presentation will be recording and later available via Impact Beaverton YouTube channels as a resource for a small business. We will also make the Spanish audio available through the talented interpreter Jessica Dower joining us today. Gracias, Jessica. After the presentation, we will open up for a question and answer on recorded so everyone feels comfortable to make any questions. Okay, thank you and welcome again.
Thank you, Gustavo. I'm Kathy Bazan. As he mentioned, I'm with the Business Recovery Center in Tualatin. You are welcome to come to either Gustavo or me or any of our other two centers and get free confidential counseling. So let's get started here. I am thrilled that Gustavo asked me to come and teach this class today. I've actually been teaching a variety of this class for over the past 7 years. I've been a small business counselor. I've also been active in social media. What's wonderful about blogging is that it's free and it's a wonderful way to grow your business. One of my clients that I taught how to blog actually sold 2 of her paintings. So I'm tickled. It's a start on getting her business up and going. All right. As I mentioned briefly, the Business Recovery Center is funded by the ARPA Act, which originally started out as the CARES Act in March 2020 and is now funded by the ARPA Act. So everything that Gustavo and I do for you is free of charge and it's confidential. I'm Kathy Bazan. I'm your guide on this social media journey. I actually wrote social media professionally for a company. And in 2.5 years, I built their Facebook page from 0 to over 9,500 likes. I never bought an ad. It was all on content. Those are the secrets I'm going to be teaching you today. On the blog for CPA Excel, within 9 months, I had enough content on that blog that we were getting 100 organic hits a day. That means people were finding us for free in Google searches and coming to see what the company had to offer. So this is what we can do. Probably wondering, what's a blog? Well, a blog is actually a contraction of 2 words, web and log. Originally, in the days of sailing ships, the captain would keep a book where he or she would say things like ran into a flock of seagulls at this particular latitude and longitude, ran into an island at this particular latitude and longitude. As we have left the era of sailing ships, you might be more familiar with James Kirk and any of the captains within the Star Trek universe who will say captain's log. So a blog is a variation of what those sailing captains and Captain Kirk have been doing. One thing about the word blog is that it shows up in a number of different places within English and within Spanish. So first thing I want to do is I want to teach you how to speak fluent blog. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So a blog, it's a term that was actually coined in 1999, and it's short for web blog. The term actually defines a website or a page on a website. Blog, if you're using it as a verb, which is an action word, I am going to blog today. It actually means to research, write, and post content on a blog. A person who does this activity is called a blogger, and blogging is another form of the verb. It's actually continually acting. So I'm blogging about how to pass the CPA exam. Now you can go bore people at, cocktail parties with all this information. Okay, more terms to know. Content. It's a term I'm going to be using quite a bit here. It means any of the words and the images that you use on your website or in your social media. Google actually grades your content much like an English teacher. So you need to be using the correct word usage, grammar, and spelling that would be consistent with what an 8th grader can do. Y'all been warned. If you write at less than an 8th grade level, you really need to have something like Grammarly or a friend edit for you. Hyperlink is that item that you'll see in blue and underlined. It allows you to go from one place on the internet to another place on the internet. So you don't want to put too many of those in any blog post because people will go off and they won't come back. So be careful. Just like everything else in life, our fonts that we use, the type of lettering that we use when we're working, has changed due to fashion and due to trends. Times New Roman was the font of choice for newspapers and typewriters dating back about 150 years. When the internet first started, Times New Roman was the font for everybody to use. Now the font styles, the fashions have gone from Times New Roman to fonts that are more vertical, that don't have those little serifs at the top that hang over into the next letter. If you look at these letters here, you see that they're very crisp and clean in between. I probably used Verdana here, but that gives you an idea of what I'm trying to get you to do. If you do decide to use Times New Roman on your blog, it actually dates your blog as being something from the late 90s and the early 2000s. You don't want to do that. People like new, shiny, cute blogs. So use a different font. Basically, there are two places to put your blog. You can put your blog on your website, which is really the right way to do it. And it allows you to have new content on your website that Google can find. What Google is doing is it's looking throughout the universe of Google to find if you have posted new content on your website and in social media at least once each month. If you have posted a blog post on your website, that counts. You don't have to write a whole web page or a landing page. So for most people, it's easier to do a blog post. And then you take that blog post, change the title, change the first paragraph, launch it on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you want to in social media. But a blog on a website gets you more Google juice. Off-site blogs or freestanding blogs are the other kind. You can get just a blog on WordPress and Blogspot, but it actually counts as social media content for you. So if you use either one of those, you then have to still put a new web page or a new landing page up on your website. So it's easier to have a blog on your website and use social media as well. All right. Wonderful thing about the world is that we've got multiple varieties of just about everything. First type of blog is a corporate or business blog. This would appear on their website. Your blog post for a corporate or business blog would answer people's questions. You might launch new products and you would be building your community because you'd be informing folks about what it is that you do and why it's wonderful. Professional blogs are another type. These are used to monetize. So what they're designed to do is to sell ads or to generate affiliate marketing agreements, which generate money for the person who's actually writing the blog. Give you an example. There's a blog called the Frugal Travelista. There we go. And she sells ads to tourism companies in any city she goes to. So before she came to Sedona, Arizona, she sold an ad to Pink Jeep Tours, several different hotels, several different restaurants, a couple of art galleries. That supported her blog and it supported her lifestyle. So that's a professional blog. There are more blogs. They're community blogs. They may focus on a specific geographic area. For instance, there's one blog that covers all the activities in the West Seattle area, in case you're interested. There are hobby and interest blogs. So if you like cats or Star Trek, there's a blog for that. In fact, there's probably more than one. And then we've got the original kind of blogs that showed up on the internet, personal or diary blogs. So folks who are in fashion, who are travelers, often have these kinds of blogs. And when they first started out, people would just tell the most inane things like, I'm sitting outside having a grilled cheese sandwich. These abound, so you probably have run into more than one. This question comes up a lot. How big is the blogosphere? Well, it's huge. There are more than 500 million blogs out there. There are over 2 million blog posts a day that are posted. So that kind of gives you an idea. More fun facts. Only about a third of all websites have a website blog. This is really interesting because you realize what I told you earlier. It's better to have a blog on your website than to have it a freestanding blog. Tumblr has a number of freestanding blogs, which do count as social media rather than website content. Though blogs started as personal diaries, they're now marketing tools. And the slide is supposed to move. Aha. This was actually written to me by my boss at CPA Excel. 9 months after I started working on the blog, they were getting 100 visits a day to the blog. These were people who were looking for terms such as, when can I sit for the CPA exam? What study materials do I need? And because the content that I wrote answered those questions, folks were coming to the blog at the rate of 100 a day. Many of those people actually bought our products, which helped them prepare for the Certified Public Accountant exam. And so the 3 years that I wrote for them, each year they had more sales than the year before. He attributed that to the blog and the social media. Oops. Go back. There we go. All right, so where does a blog fit into your marketing to increase your sales? What Google is looking for, as I mentioned, is you posting new content on your website. The blog is the easiest place, and social media at least during 1 week of any month. What they're looking for you to do is to write in what's called a 4-to-1 ratio. So 4 of the pieces that you're going to put up are going to educate somebody about what it is you do. So if you're a leadership coach, you're going to want to talk about what is leadership? Who are some well-known leaders? Who are some people who have written about leadership? What can leadership training do to improve your career? And then the 5th one is, I'm the best leadership coach to get you this information. So you want to be educating people. And when you do that, that converts into sales. A blog is as tightly controlled as the old communist Soviet Union. In the Soviet Union, for those of us who actually lived through this period, we know that the Soviet Union had plans, 5-year plans for agriculture, 5-year plans for what they were going to do in defense. You need to have a plan for what your blog is going to do. That would include the types of categories you're going to cover. So for instance, for CPA Excel, I knew that I need to cover study tips to help somebody learn more for the exam so that they retained and they hopefully passed. I needed to talk about changes that were coming to the CPA exam because there were changes all the time. I needed to talk about career paths for accountants. And I needed to talk about, excuse me, the steps that needed to be taken once you pass the CPA exam. And then, of course, the 5th category was why to pick CPA Excel. So I could write content about any of those topics, put a particular blog post into a particular category. And then if somebody was looking for study tips, they could look at all the study tips together. They didn't have to weed through all of the different blog posts. So if you're going to write a Discover Sedona, Arizona blog, you might have categories like annual events, day hikes in Sedona, restaurants and entertainment, spa and wellness centers, winery and off-road tours, and the very important catch-all phrase, catch-all category, excuse me, general information, potpourri, or etc. You should have that category because I guarantee you one day you're going to get up and write a blog post and it doesn't fit in any of your categories. You've got to put it somewhere. Okay, this is actually the CPA Excel website. This is their blog. If you look over on the right-hand side of the screen, I realize it's very light, but you can browse for categories. So because CPA Excel has expanded and they're teaching about more than just the CPA exam, you can see the different exams here that they help prepare you for in case you're interested. So if you only want to see content on the CPA exam, you can click there and that's all you get. Now the web page, as you see on this blog, you've got over here on the left in blue, the date that that content was posted, the title, and the first couple of sentences. So you've got an idea of what the content is. Most blogs fit along what I call the Dragnet to Calgon continuum. I'll explain. Dragnet was a TV show. It had a couple of detectives on it. And one of the detectives was very fond of saying, just the facts, ma'am. And he just wanted a little bit of information. So a Dragnet type blog is a very short display blog. It's 300 to 1,200 words. It allows you, as we saw on the page before, to read just a couple of sentences and decide if you want to click on that blog post and read the whole thing. This kind of a format is perfect for people who are stressed for time, like accountants studying for the CPA exam. So again, here's an example of that page, and you'll see the keywords are down here, as well as the date that the content was posted, the title of the article. Calgon, or the long form of a blog. The bubble bath Calgon had a catchphrase, Calgon, take me away. The whole idea was that people who took a bubble bath would just sit there and relax, and it didn't matter what was going on in the world, they could just take a break from it. So a Calgon, or a long form blog, will show you the entire blog post, and then below that blog post is the next entire blog post. This is perfect for people who are traveling, who are planning to travel, planning a wedding, planning any big event, because they have a tendency to just read and escape whatever's going on. This is an example of a long form blog. The blog post actually continues below the picture, which couldn't quite show you. Okay, first thing you need to know how to write a title. What you want to be doing is draw your reader in so that you are presenting information that they've been looking for to help them. So how you can pass the CPA exam in 6 months. You actually have to pass the CPA exam in 18 months or you have to start over. So 6 months is extremely fast. You can use humor. How I help my kid win the science fair without losing my mind. Focus on the who, not the why. People want you to invest in them. Present your articles as a clear value for your readers. You can use alliteration, which is the repetition of a consonant sound. You can be visual. Few more tips. Headlines starting with a numeral like 3, 5, 7 actually are rated by Google higher than articles that start with a word. Here's the reason. Google, God bless them, was organized by librarians. And if you ever go into a library and you look at the card catalog, if you're looking for a particular type of book or magazine, if the title is 101 Ways to Use Hamburger, that book is actually going to be on a card in the card catalog before a card on a book, How to Cook Hamburger. The reason is that numerals are alphabetized ahead of words. So I wouldn't do this every single blog post. It'll drive your readers nuts. But every once in a while, throw a number in there. 5 things you need to know about your topic. Title tips. Well, this is kind of fun, being a creative writer and being a published author. I love doing interesting titles. Ancient Greeks solved the energy crisis. Let me tell you, that one got opened a lot because people wanted to find out what I was talking about. I was talking about thermodynamics and the Stirling engine, which is a very small engine. And it's spelled like sterling silver, it's spelled like sterling Scotland, not sterling silver, excuse me. You can use a superlative. Best way to get to Cancun, worst way to get to Poughkeepsie. So you get positive attention from your readers when you use best, worst, etc. And again, don't use them all the time. Space map. Once you've written a title, you might want to go look at this website. It's called CoSchedule. And what it does is it actually rates your title. So if you see that white bar down there, you can copy and paste your title in there. If you're getting a grade of 70% or higher, you're perfect. Keep going. Write the article now. If your title is below that, you can get some hints and suggestions on how to change it to get up to that 70. Once you've got a great title, then you need to write your great intro. Remember that Google will look at and will show the first couple of sentences of your blog. So you want to make something that really catches the reader's attention. Okay, slide. Move. Aha. Yes, you can start with humor. There's no reason stopping you. Just make sure that your humor is G-rated or maybe even PG-rated, and make sure that it gets the attention of the reader in a positive way. As of, for instance, the Bulwer Lytton contest, which is held at San Jose State in California every year, actually tries to find the worst initial sentence for a novel that will never get published. So people are just creating that first sentence. In the vile puns category, we had this one. At the passing of Keith Richards, it was announced on the evening news, just as had been done with Mick Jagger, Charlie Watts, and Ronnie Wood before him, Jorge gazed at the television in his Tijuana home and felt a sickening knot form in his stomach, for he realized that finally, after all the albums, concert tours, and era-defining cultural impact, the Rolling Stones would gather no moss. That is a vile pun. And then this is another one. This is the purple prose division. So a couple of things you want to keep in mind in your writing. You want to take a you attitude. Can you show the reader how you can help them do their job better, faster, smarter? They're more willing to read your content. So if you're helping them, if you're taking a you attitude, you're more likely to get it opened. To close or not to close, that is the question. Sorry, Shakespeare. On every fourth or fifth post, blog post, include a close. If you do it more frequently than this, people will think you're a used car salesman and they will run away from you in droves. So what is a close? A close is asking your customer to buy your product or service. So you might have written 4 different articles about tennis rackets for left-handed people. That 5th blog post actually says, and we carry these left-handed tennis rackets, so come on in, we're having a special this month. Where can you find inspiration to write? As a small business counselor, I get this question at least 4 or 5 times a week. Number one, you need to know your long-tailed and short-tailed keywords. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, please refer back to the 101 class because I go into this in a lot more depth. Find a connection between 2 short-tailed keywords, like in this case, music school and piano lessons, Portland, Oregon. Then you can create a sentence. To find the best piano lessons in Portland, Oregon, look no further than ABC Music School. And that way, when people are searching for either music lessons or Portland, Oregon, or piano lessons, they're going to find your content and come to you rather than the music school down the street. Become an authority. You want to answer your readers' questions. Think about the questions people ask you when you're at a networking meeting or you're out in public and somebody says to you, hey, what do you do? Think about the questions that follow up to that. If you help somebody with merchant processing, as a for instance, questions might be, how can I lower my fees on merchant credit card processing? So you want to think about these questions and answer them in a great blog post. How can you improve your serve in tennis if you happen to be a tennis pro shop? How can I combine my love of hiking and art? If you happen to be Sedona Art Hikes, you can show people how you can be led out into the beautiful Red Rock country and guided through doing a painting while you're out there. So you've got all these different questions that you might want to think about if they apply to your business. If not, we can find some that do. Search for any tie-ins to local, national, or international events. When I worked for CPA Excel, we came up with a fundraiser called Jeans for Japan. We normally were not allowed to wear jeans in the office. It was very professional and stuff, kind of a place. But to raise money for those affected by the Japanese earthquake in 2011, we created Jeans for Japan. Any person who wore jeans into the office would make a donation to the Red Cross. And our CEO made an even bigger donation. So we ended up having the Red Cross representative come to our office. We took pictures with her, gave her this big check, and I created blog posts and Facebook notes about it to show people that we were involved in our community. We weren't just sitting on the sidelines. Long ago, Google realized that there are a lot of people out there who write and post things, but they're not necessarily great writers. To get on page 1, you need to write on at least an 8th grade level. And since 75% of all searches focus on Google's page 1, you really want to get onto page 1 for whatever it is you're doing. So what does writing at 8th grade English mean? Well, no prepositions at the end of sentences, no splitting infinitives. This would be why Gene Roddenberry would not make it to page 1, because he wrote "to boldly go," which is a split infinitive, where no man is gone before. Before is a preposition, it's hanging off the end of the sentence. I know you're thrilled. If you're not sure about your writing ability, you might look at Grammarly as a for instance. You might hire an editor. You might bring your content to me or Gustavo, and we can edit for you. One thing you want to put on the bottom of every single blog post that you do, as well as any piece of social media content, Facebook posts, LinkedIn update, etc. You want to have a copyright statement. I'm going to get into copyright more in just a minute, but the copyright statement is the copyright symbol, the C in the circle, the year date, and that range is the year you started your website to the current year. So it might be 2018 to 2021. Name of your business, period, all rights reserved. And you can put that on your web pages, on your blog posts, on your social media posts. There are two types of copyright. One is poor man's copyright, which you and I get the minute we write something. If you want official copyright, which I do suggest, you do want to go to the website of the US Copyright Service, pay the fee, it starts at I think about $35, and upload your content. Now, you do not have to do this for every single piece that you write. You can actually put those pieces together. So you might have 6 months of content and then apply for the copyright. Then you're only paying one fee. This copyright is defendable in court, and it starts the minute you pay them your money. So even though it takes 6 to 8 months to get that beautiful little calligraphy form back from them, your copyright starts the minute you upload your content and pay your fee. Marvin Gaye's heirs, the singer, won $7.4 million because Robin Thicke and Farrell infringed on 2 bars of music. Imagine what would have happened if they'd infringed on 4. Okay, the keys to your blogging success. Number 1, you want to use 2 or 3 short-tailed keywords or 1 long-tailed keyword. And that is a question, where can I sit for the CPA exam? Or it's a statement. 5 insanely smart ways to save money when you're making tamales. You want to use the headline analyzer that I had in here to find out if your headline is strong enough, if you're getting 70% or higher. Google requires that you write at least 300 words. Trust me, once you get going on any particular topic that you know about, that 300 words is a no-brainer. It's very easy to do. Some blogs, depending upon what it is you're doing, you can write up to 600 to 1,200 words. So if you want to go beyond the 300, that's fine. There's no rule that says you can't. If you go below that, below the 300, Google has the right to not index your content, meaning not allow your content to be found by other people. And what you want to do over time is vary the length of your articles. So one is 300, the next is 450, 300, 600, go back and forth. Then you can analyze which one's got the most page reviews, which ones had the most interactions, and that'll give you an idea of what your audience wants. These will come in the slide deck that you'll be getting, but these are wonderful tools for analyzing your blog's success. Okay. So you want to be looking at the keywords that you're using for any particular article. A short-tailed keyword is a noun or a noun group. So it could be CPA exam, it could be study tools for the CPA exam, which is a little longer. Whatever your keywords are, you do want to put them in your title, you do want to put them in your URL, and you do want to put them in your meta description, So you can put these in, and it makes, how do I want to put it? The more you put your keywords in these 3 different locations, the greater the likelihood somebody's going to find you for free. That's what I'm going for. So what you want to do is take your long URL, write it out the way you want it, and then put it into the box on goo.gl. That will actually shorten the URL. So all of your words are in there, but it's shorter. And if you ever have to tell somebody where to go to get to that blog post, it's a whole lot easier to tell them the short URL. So that gives you an idea. Those blog posts that have a photo, an image, a graph are opened much more frequently than those blog posts that don't have a picture. So you can go to unsplash.com, pexels.com, and get free images that you can use on your blog posts. I strongly suggest that you do that because, well, of course, your other option is to go to iStock and places like this. Pay for the images, keep the receipts. The reason I suggest that you use the free ones or you pay rather than harvesting directly off of Google Images is that we've had a lot of lawyers who have been sending out copyright infringement letters to business owners, and they are asking, these lawyers are, for $700 to $800 for any image that you've harvested off of Google, to which you do not have the copyright. So to avoid that, use a free site or pay for them, or use your own pictures. Another thing that you need to be aware of, and this is kind of a back-end situation, you need to be aware that there are blog categories and there's blog tags. So a category, like I said before, study tips for the CPA exam. I might have multiple blog posts within that category, but a blog tag is specific to one article. So it actually makes it very easy if somebody wants to find study tips for visual learners, as for instance. I mentioned links previously. I normally suggest that you have no more than one link per blog post. Again, people go away, they don't come back. You can link from your blog to another page within your website. So if you're talking about a particular hotel, you can link to a page in your website where you're talking about that particular room and the amenities in it at your hotel, and then connect it to the blog post about that same room. External links, choose them carefully. They should be reputable sources, not Wikipedia, that allow you to enhance your reputation. So if you're quoting the New York Times or the LA Times, that certainly is better than the Podunk Daily Journal. Okie doke, thank you so much for hanging in here with me. There's my email address, and you know Gustavo. So if anybody has any questions, please unmute or put them in the chat, or whatever you feel like. Gustavo, I'll let you take over.
Thank you, Kathy. This presentation is wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I learned a lot with all the information. It's great.
Thank you.